Grim Dawn crossbow bills, yeah.
Hello world! Welcome back to Grim Dawn Crossbow Builds, where all we talk about are crossbow builds for Grim Dawn. Our hero today is a Purifier, that's a Demolitionist and an Inquisitor, using the Dreeg Arbalest crossbow. This is a faction vendor item that mainly supports Stunjacks and Stormboxed Elgalath. So those are the two skills we're using. The Light's Defender set supports these skills quite well, so we also have that set on. This is basically a crossbow version of the very popular top 20 build by Banana Peel. So shout out to Banana Peel. I'm also going to link to their version in the description below. The Aura of Censure is doing some damage to the dummies. I'll turn on Word of Renewal, pop an Inquisitor Seal. We have Thermite Mine on right click for the resistance reduction and Stunjacks on left click, the no cooldown version. And then we also have the Stormbox of Elgalath. Let's go through our skill choices. Our main skill is Stunjacks, which is hard capped of course, and bound to Arcane Bomb for lightning resistance reduction. This is being used with the Mutator Quick Jacks, which eliminates the cooldown at the expense of some damage. We also have Full Spread Stunjacks modifier hard capped, giving us extra projectiles, a little bit of extra radius, and a lot of extra electrocute damage. The internal trauma here is fully converted to electrocute by the set that we're wearing. Stunjacks is also supported by Ulzuin's Chosen, which gives a substantial bonus to total damage. Our right click skill is Thermite Mine for the elemental resistance reduction. This is bound to Hand of Ultos, which also gives percentage-based elemental resistance reduction. There's 1 point in Hellfire Mine because we had to fill up the skill bar anyway for Ulzuin's Chosen, and we might as well have a little bit of extra chaos and burn damage. And we have some token points down in Vindictive Flame and its modifier, because the retaliation damage is nice and the lightning and electrocute gets scaled up by our gear. These are also optional. Up at the top, Flame Touched is a little bit above the soft cap for the offensive ability and percent bonus to lightning and electrocute damage. The flat damage unfortunately does not help us at all because our skills don't have a weapon damage component to them. This is bound to Wayward Soul, one of our defensive procs. Lastly, on the Demolitionist side, we have Blast Shield, a little bit above the soft cap. This is always nice for defense. On the Inquisitor side, our main skill is Stormbox of Elgalath, which is at the hard cap and bound to Reckless Tempest. Its modifier Lightning Tether is also at the hard cap, giving us extra lightning and electrocute damage and some slow. We're also making use of the Inquisitor's defensive skills. Inquisitor Seal is above the soft cap a little bit, giving good defensive bonuses. The Mutator bonus for a two-handed weapon is active, and we have 1 point in its modifier for a little bit of extra damage. Word of Renewal up here also gives us defensive bonuses and a healing ability. We've also got the two-handed bonus Mutator active. Vigor is nearly at the soft cap for the extra health, armor, and secondary resistances. And there's 1 point in Steel Resolve, mainly for the Ether and Chaos resistance. Ranged Expertise has 1 point in it just for the small bonus to elemental damage. We don't care about attack speed and we get no benefit from the piercing damage, so it's not worth putting more points in here, even though we have a ranged weapon. Deadly Aim, on the other hand, can help pretty much any build, whether you're using weapon damage or not, with the generic all damage bonus, crit damage, and offensive ability. Always very nice. Our exclusive aura is a very obvious choice, Aura of Censure for the elemental resistance reduction. This is bound to Giant's Blood. Our devotion path focuses on picking up lightning and electrocute damage bonuses, along with as many defensive circuit breakers as we can fit in. In the early game, you'll probably put a point in blue to take either the Tsunami or the Sailor's Guide. Either of those will give you 5 blue points. You can also put a point in purple to pick up the Empty Throne. Also good for the early game, and I wound up keeping it in this case. Those blue and purple points will enable you to pick up the Tempest, which gives you a lot of extra damage, and the Reckless Tempest proc, which goes off with your crits. The Tempest will also allow you to pick up green point constellations. I used the Spider in the early game, and I refunded a few of the points later. So now you're rocking green, blue, and purple points. You can pick up Chariot of the Dead, a good defensive constellation that will give you more green and pink points. Behemoth, which also gives green and pink points. And if you wind up using the Dreeg Arbalest like I'm doing, you'll want the Kraken, which gives two-handed weapon bonuses. If you're not using the Arbalest, if you're just using the leveling MIs that I'll talk about in the gear section, then you can put these points somewhere else. The Viper will be pretty good for most of the game, and it gives you the same affinity point bonuses. However, we're working towards Altos way down at the bottom, which will give you the same percentage-based elemental resistance reduction. Since I had extra blue points from the Kraken, I wound up refunding the Sailor's Guide and taking the Tortoise instead, and also completing enough of Rowan's Crown to get the Elemental Storm proc. Now let's look at our gear. The weapon here is the Dreeg Arbalest, which is a simple faction vendor item, so you can buy this directly from the Cult of Dreeg. Like any faction item, it will be bound to the character that you buy it on. This gives us flat lightning damage, which benefits us not at all, but the rest of it is pretty good. 200% lightning and electrocute damage with increased duration, lots of spirit, some casting speed, and a bunch of skill points to our main skills. Our rings are the Mythical Quickening Gem, which supports our main skills, and the Mythical Time Flux Band, which also supports our skills and gives us the Time Warp proc. Our amulet is the MI Ulrapraxis Sting, which comes from an insect boss very close to the Twin Falls Rift Gate. This amulet supports everything that we're doing. It makes leveling much easier, and it's also best in slot for the endgame. It's weighted towards lightning affixes, so it's pretty easy to find this with extra lightning damage. You probably also want to look for a defensive affix. This one has the ordered prefix, which gives chaos resistance. In our helm, chest, shoulder, and glove slots, we are using the Mythical Lights Defender set, which has a whole bunch of bonuses to Stormbox of Elgoloth and to Stunjax. This set is strongly recommended for this build. The helm has a blueprint both for the level 75 normal version and the level 94 mythical version. If you don't have the blueprint yet, it's probably a good idea to run totems, which have a higher chance to drop blueprints. From the helm, you can craft the entire set. Our boots are Storm Bearers, giving us lightning damage, defensive ability, and +2 to Alzwin's Chosen. Our medal is the Cyclone Mark. This is not an essential piece of gear, but it does give us extra lightning damage on Thermite Mine, including a conversion of the chaos damage from Hellfire Mine into lightning damage. Feel free to substitute this with anything that shores up your defenses or your resistances. In the belt slot, we have the Mythical Starseer's Cord, giving us crit damage, lightning and electrocute damage, offensive ability, and +3 to our main skill modifiers. The relic here is Serenity, which is pretty good for any character. You'll get a little more damage out of something like Ignifar's Combustion, but a Purifier is also a relatively squishy class, so it's good to have more defenses, and this one also rolled with a defensive ability bonus. Our pants are the Mythical Stormcage Leggards, giving lightning and electrocute damage, plenty of OA and DA, +2 to full spread, and a retaliation proc. And now for our leveling gear. I have 2 key items on the weapon swap here. The first one is the Korvac Stormblade, which drops starting at level 20 and gives a huge amount of crit damage and attack damage converted to health to Stunjax. If you're using a merit while leveling, you can skip straight ahead to the Corvin City Rift, and one of these is bound to drop sooner or later. The offhand is even easier to find. The Overseer eye starts dropping at level 12, so this is very easy to pick up very early in the game. The Ulrapraxis Sting Amulet also drops early. You can get these starting at level 18. Another great leveling item for this character that you can get early is the Chosen Mask, supporting Stormbox of Elgoloth and Thermite Mine. This also starts dropping at level 20, also from the Corvin City areas. These items make this a very fast and very fun leveling build. When you get to Homestead, definitely side with the Kaiman's Chosen faction because they'll have the best gear for this character. At level 35 you can equip their helm, chest armor, and shoulder armor, and at level 40 they have pretty good jewelry too. Some other notable faction gear comes from the Coven, who have a shoulder piece for Stunjacks, and the Outcast, who have a very nice chest armor for the mid-game.